was there any sort of silent rivalry with who would be the star? I mean, you were on the cover sometimes, you would make cover of magazines. Was there that silent sort of, I think I'm the star who's going to break out from this?
Well, speaking for myself, you know, I never went in thinking I was competing with Dolapo. I didn't go in thinking that this, you know, there was only one position that we were going to fill. I was very, you know, I knew, you know, from acting experience that there's so many roles that, you know, an artist fills on her own, and I was more focused on kind of building my career and my opportunities, and 53X was just another job that I happened to work with alongside her with. So her career is totally separate to mine. So, you know, whatever opportunities she's creating for herself, you know, it's, you know, excellent for her. And whatever opportunities I'm creating for myself are for me, you know.
Well, you hosted most of the last season alone.
I did,
and
yeah.
Has that been great for you? Do you miss having a partner? I know you're going to have someone else coming on soon.
You know, it's interesting because we never actually, it was only towards the end, before Dolapo left, that we actually hosted all of this
That's
together.
true. You used to do the...
Yeah, I used to do the red carpet interviews, and she used to spend a lot, go to South Africa and shoot the links. And then when she came back, the producers wanted the show to be more interactive with both of us, and that's how that really came on board. So I actually hardly ever saw Dolapo in studio. When I saw her was when we made time to have lunch, which we used to do regularly. And, you know, we still meet up, but, you know, obviously she's in Calabar now. But, so when it got to studio, I really felt that for me, it was a journey that I'd always been working to. You have to keep changing and evolving. So it was a position that I was, you know, that from my personal journey, I knew had to end there because I couldn't be on a red carpet for the rest of my life, you know, doing interviews. And it's nice to be able to engage with, you know, celebrities one-on-one, and I haven't found it hard, you know. I don't, like I said, it's a job, you know, it's not where I live, and it's not personal.
Sorry to cut you off, because I was going to talk about TV presenting generally. It's a very small market in Nigeria. You know, there's not a lot of opportunities or jobs for presenting on television. So do you find, are there any sort of people you look at and like, she might be a threat? Anybody on the scene?
No.
Besides Dolapo now, of course. We've talked about her enough.
No, I actually don't. I actually don't think about that stuff so much. I've never been one person to focus on someone else. People. I mean, if there are people that are, you know, excelling, I'll notice them and I go, wow, that was actually really interesting that they did, and I'll take those notes. But I've never been one to try and compare on someone else's race. I'm sort of like in my own lane, and there are lots of things I want to achieve from myself on a bigger scale that I'm trying to work towards. So every year that passes, I'm trying to get closer to that. You know, I'm trying to get closer to my goals. I'm not trying to
think of anybody else.
I feel like that's distracting. And I feel like if I'm the best that I can be, then, you know, no one's going to be better than that. How?
Okay, something happened recently that was sort of, it caused a buzz, especially online. This article by Tatler in the UK with sort of opulence in Nigeria and rich kids and cool kids and all of that. And you were featured with your twin sister on it. There was sort of a backlash after that. How did you take all of that?
Well, if people are accustomed to the magazine Tatler is very much a magazine that's very British. It's about British high society. So I was surprised at the angle that the writer took, but I wasn't. At the same time, I wasn't surprised when I really thought about the magazine it was coming from. I felt like, you know, I did feel like they obviously had a different agenda. They had a very specific agenda when they were writing the article. So
you didn't know that was where they were going to go with it?
They were doing profiles on people. So, you know, my interview ended up being, you know, like this small once it came out in the interview. So, you know, the reflection of me in the article was very much about my work and living in Nigeria, but it was only about this much. So I think that made it clear to me that the article was not really interested in finding out who we were and what we were doing with our lives. I think they were more kind of interested in, you know, Nigeria as this country that is all of a sudden is, you know, all of a sudden, you know, is
with so much money
turning out. Well, I think they were more interested in that angle, and you know, I'm disappointed they didn't write, you know, an article that was a lot more researched, like better researched, and, you know, maybe it was a lot more accurate. But I think they were trying to achieve so much in one article, and, you know, that it was hard for them to get the right,
put all of that through.
The right voice. I mean, some people, I agree, came off, you know, sounding really silly, and I feel bad for them, you know. But I do think that Tatler is an article that, you know, kind of stands up and, you know, doesn't try to be any intellectual or
I know.
Political or economical. They're more like
you don't necessarily have a sort of poor background. Do you think the sort of background you have is an advantage for you?
I think entertainment is an industry that is very sort of level. It's a level playing field, especially when it's a developing industry like ours is. When I went in when I came into this climate and working here, no one knew anything about me. No one knew anything about my background, where I was from. They had no impression of what I did,
or what to expect.
It wasn't until this article came out that that
people started having those ideas.
People started having those ideas, like, where did that come from? This sort of thing. So I do think
you've earned it, basically.
Of course, I've earned it. I think anyone who says that they haven't earned it in this industry, then they've done something really strange. Because it's so much work, and you yourself know how hard it is to be relevant, and for an audience to enjoy what you do. It's not, you can't buy that. You can't buy interest.
Yeah. Okay, wait, before we just go now, quick, you have to give me an answer quickly. Favorite person to interview? Quickly.
Oh, what?
You have one.
Who was my favorite person to interview? I can't even think. The problem is I've done, think about it.
Not Kim Kardashian, of course.
No. Actually, no. The most interesting person to interview. I can't think. Abuka, I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of interviews.
Least favorite? Anybody?
Least favorite? I don't even know. I feel so bored.
I know.
I feel so bored. The least favorite are the people that don't say anything.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
That don't say anything. And the most interesting are the ones that are engaging, have a lot to say. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Eku, for being here today.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's been good. It's been very quick.
I know, right?
I was thinking it was going to be ages, but it's actually very short and nice, sweet.
I'm nice.
It's
a nice show.
You're my favorite person to interview.
Yay. Well, thank you very much for joining us as usual. The handle on Twitter is at YNigerTV. The hashtag is Rubbin Minds. Also, the website yniger.com/TV. As we always say, you've never seen young people talk like this before. I'll see you next time.